Stay Gurubhyo Namaga children, you are welcome for online class Ekkalaiva. Class 10 children, this is your 7th unit, Prose, last unit this is, and this is second part, The Dying Detective, written by Arthur Conan Doyle. So already in the first part we saw that Holmes was just pretending as he was sick, and he was just ordering Watson to not to touch anything and to read. So you know that in the first part we saw that Holmes was 3 days sick, and his homemaid just sent a word to Watson to come, and Watson was there in that place and he is not allowing him inside, and basically Watson was doctor and he want to come near and examine him and give some treatment for him, but Holmes is not accepting him to come near. And this shows that he is pretending as if sick, and for 3 days he had not taken food and water or anything, and he was just pretending to his maid that he was sick. As a detective, he want to find the mystery in the case, so he was just pretending as if he was sick. And he was just calling Watson, and Watson also was just visiting there, and Watson was just going near him to give a treatment, but he is not accepting, and he says that you are only MBBS and you are not you are a general practitioner, you are not specialist in that disease. So he was just talking about, and he was saying that whether he is willing to call Sir Jacob Meek and Penrose Fisher, they are the specialists in the London doctors, and he is not accepting that also. He gives some address and he wants the person to call specialized in the disease. He wants that person, and he is having confidence only on that person. So here Watson is waiting, he is getting ready to call, but here he says that it was 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock he can go to the place, till then 2 hours he can sit and listen or read the book so that he can take rest. And here Watson finds time that he was waiting for the reading, and he was not interested in reading as his friend was not well, and he was having a book and just going about, but he was not interested in reading. And something curious next to the book was a box, ivory color box, and that he was going to touch to see, investigate what in it, or what was the specialization of the box. He want to know the mystery, so he is just going to touch the box. Immediately Holmes gets angry and he shouts at him, and he says that you must not touch the box, it is mine and you have no right to touch the box. So here with this we stopped, and we continue here from there. So here, unable to settle down to read, walked slowly round and round looking at the picture. Finally, I came to the mantelpiece, where among the other things I saw a small black and white ivory book with sliding lid. As I held it in my hand to examine it, I heard a dreadful cry. "Put it down, down at once, Watson," he said. "I hate to have my things touched. Sit down, man, and let me have my rest." So here we stopped in the first part. So here Watson is touching the box. Immediately here Holmes gets angry and shouts at him not to touch, and he doesn't like a person touching his things. So something curious in that box, so let us see what it is. And Watson, he said, "I hate to have my things touched." He says this, and "Sit down, man, and let me have my rest. You just sit down and read so that I can have my rest." So he was just telling. So from here he stops, we will continue. Then I sat in silent dejection until the stipulated time had passed. "Now, Watson," he said, "have you any change?" "Yes," I replied. "How many half-crowns? Put them in your watch pocket and all the rest in your trousers pocket. You will light the gas lamp, but it must be off on. You will have the kindness to place some letters." So here he is saying, then I sat in silent dejection. So you know that his best friend, and when he touches his box, he was just reacting in an opposite way. This was a sudden surprise and a dejection for him, and so he was in a dejection until the stipulated time has passed. Till that 4 to 6, the time 2 hours had passed, he was waiting. Now Watson, he said, have you any change? So you have any change? Yes, I replied. So he is replying, what he is saying, that how many half crowns, but them in your watch pocket and all the rest in your trouser pocket, you will light the gas lamp, but it must be half on. You will have the kindness to place some letters and. So here he is saying that you will be having kindness to the thing to post the letter. He was just requesting him. Paper on the table within my reach. Now place the ivory box on the table within my reach. Slide the lid a bit with tongs. Put the tongs on the table. Good. Now you can go and fetch Mr. Carlton Smith of 13 Lower Brook Street. I was assisting to leave him now. He was delirious. So now Holmes says that, will you bring that box and just that letter and box you can keep next to me, and after keeping there you can go and fetch the person. The Holmes is having faith on the doctor named Mr. Carlton Smith. Carlton Smith is a doctor and of 13 Lower Brook Street. He was 13 Lower Brook Street. I was assisting to leave him now. He was delirious. So here you know that Holmes was not in his mood and he was not all right. He was very serious and he was thinking a lot about the sickness. So this only was knowing to Watson, but he is pretending like a sick. This was not known to Watson. So immediately to cure him, and he want to go to the place called 13 Lower Brook Street, and there we have to fetch the person, Mr. Carlton Smith. So it is very clear, children. Well, he is the man who has the knowledge of this disease, but he is not a medical man. He is a planter. He lives in Sumatra, now visiting London. I didn't want you to go before 6 because you wouldn't have found him in his study. I hope you will be able to persuade him to come. You will tell him exactly how you have left me. He said, you must tell him that I am dying. Plead with him, Watson. So now here he is requesting Watson that why I have not sent you before, because you will not be in that place. So this is the right time, 6 o'clock, so that you can go to the place and there you can find him, and at the right time 6 o'clock he will be at study, so that you can go and find, and he is from Sumatra and he knows well about this disease, and you just request him and you just fetch him here. You talk about my situation to him and you just fetch him. So that was the request made by Holmes to Watson. I hope you will be able to persuade him to come. So you have to make him, you have to compel him to come, and you have to explain the situation, and you just tell him, you will tell him exactly how you have left me. You just tell him that how you have left me. So I am not in a normal thing. So I was very sick and I am going to die. You just tell him, so that he will be able to understand my situation and he will be just coming along with you. So you just explain the situation how I am, so that he will be coming with you. And you will tell him exactly how you have left me. He said, you must tell him that I am dying. You must tell him that I am dying. So when without him I cannot be cured. So you just tell that I am dying, and so that he will be coming along with you. Pleaded with him, and you request and plead him that he must come. So he was just telling this to Watson. I will bring him in a cab, I said. So Watson promising Holmes that he will be bringing him in the cab. No, you will persuade him to come and return before him. Make any excuse. Remember this, Watson. So he is saying that you have to ask, or you have to excuse, or you have to just make him accept to come. So in that way your plead must be. So he was just telling. I saw Mrs. Hudson was waiting outside, trembling and crying. Below, as I waited for the cab, I met Inspector Morton of the Scotland Yard. He was not in his uniform. So here when Watson was just going, he saw Mrs. Hudson, the homemaker of the place, and he was just taking care of Holmes. I was waiting outside, trembling and crying. She was maid and she was crying and trembling. His master was not in a good health, and she was not able to help him also. So she was crying. Below, as I waited for the cab, when Watson was waiting for the cab, he found Inspector Morton of Scotland. So he was not in his uniform. He was not in his uniform. He was in usual dress, and he was found him there. How is he? Asked Inspector Martin. So Inspector Martin is asking, how is he? So how is Holmes? Holmes is all right, he is asking. He is very ill, I answered. So here Watson is saying to him that he is not well and he was a little sick, and he can't give the assurance for his life also. I reached Mr. Curtin Simpson house. The butler appeared at the doorway. Through the half open door, I heard a man's voice telling the butler, I am not at home, say so. I pushed past the butler and entered the room. I saw a frail man with a bald head sitting. I am sorry, I said, but the matter cannot be delayed, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. So now here he had been sitting inside that Curtin Smith and saying butler to tell outside whoever it is that I am not in. So here butler also just going and explaining him that he was not in, and later he understood that pushing him, and he just go inside and he says that it was emergency. Sherlock Holmes is dying in his bed and he have to come for the place. The mere mention of his name had a different effect on the man. Have you come from Holmes? How is he? He asked. So now he was asking, how is he? So you are coming from Holmes' house. Sherlock Holmes' house, how is he? He is asking. And have you come from Holmes? How is he? He asked. He is very ill, that is why I have come. Mr. Holmes has a high opinion of you and thought you are the only man in London who can help him. So now he is saying that we have a lot of doctors and other persons in this place, but Holmes is having hope on you and you have to come to save him. The little man was startled. Why, he asked. Because of your knowledge of the Eastern disease, I replied. So he was saying that he wants you because of the Eastern disease, you know better the Eastern disease, I replied. How did he get it? He asked. I told him everything. He smiled and agreed to come. Pretending that I had some other appointment, I left him. With a sinking heart, I reached Holmes' room. I told him that Mr. Smith was coming. So here he had accepted after he is having a lot of appointment. Even then he had accepted to come and he is there to come. So I told him everything. He smiled and agreed to come. Pretending that I had some other appointment, I left him. With a sinking heart, I reached Holmes' room. I told him that Mr. Smith was coming. Well done, Watson, he said. How have you done everything that a good friend could do? How you disappear to the next room and don't speak or come here. So now here Holmes is saying, as a best friend you are done. You called and fetched him here. He would have not come because of your request, your plea, and you made him somehow to come to the place. And that proves that you are a best friend of mine. So you don't make any sound. You go to the next room and be there silently. So that is the instruction given to Watson, and Watson also goes and hides in that room. I heard a footstep. I heard a voice says, Holmes, Holmes, can you hear me? Is that your Mr. Smith? Holmes whispered. How you know what is wrong with me? You are the only one in London who can cure me. Do you know the symptoms? Asked Smith. So now here Smith comes that place and he calls Holmes, and Holmes replied because he is having a hope on him, and he was just replying, is that you, Mr. Smith? Are you Mr. Smith? And I have hope on you. You please come. You only know more about the disease and you can just give the cure for me. So he was just eagerly waiting for the thing. Do you know the symptoms? So here the Smith is asking, do you know the symptoms? Asked Smith. So do you know the symptom? Asked Smith. Only too well, Mrs. Smith, and he described the symptoms. So only too well, I am not know, but little I know, or too well I know. And Mr. Smith, and he described the symptoms. They are the same. Holmes, Smith said, Poor Victor was a dead man on the fourth day, a strong and healthy young man. What a coincidence indeed. So now he is saying that they are the same. They are the same. How the healthy man Victor had got, like that only. Smith said, poor Victor was dead man on the fourth day, was the dead man of the fourth day. A strong and healthy young man, strong and healthy man he was. On the fourth day he was sick. What a coincidence indeed. So what a coincidence between you and Victor, he is saying. I know that you did it, said Holmes. Well, you can't prove it. Give me water please, Holmes groaned. So yeah, I know that you did it, said Holmes. I know that you did it, said Holmes. Well, you can't prove it. So here he says that you can't prove it now. So you are already sick, you can't prove it. So he is saying, give me water please, Holmes groaned. So Holmes is asking for water. Here I heard Smith's voice. Cure me please, well about Victor Savage's death. You did it, I will forget everything but cure me, I will forget about it. So here Holmes is saying, you only done for Victor also, I know that, so you cure me and you help me so that I will not take revenge on you. So you can forget or remember, just you forget or remember just as you like. It doesn't matter to me how my nephew died. Watson said you got it from the Chinese sailors. Could there be any other reason? I can't think, my mind is gone, help me, plead Holmes. Did anything come by post, a box by chance on Wednesday? Yes, I opened it and there was. So now here he was asking, you know how you got that Victor had died, the same symptoms you all having, and you got a thing from him, and he was asking how you got this. So he was saying that I got a courier and it was a box that I opened. So did anything come by post? So I got by post a box by chance. I got a post by a chance on Wednesday. So on Wednesday I got a post. Yes, I opened it and there was sharp spring. There was sharp spring inside it. A joke, perhaps it drew blood, said Holmes. So there was a box I opened and it just hit me, and so that a joke, perhaps it drew blood, said Holmes. No, it was not a joke. You fool. You have got it. Who asked you to cross my path? You know too much about Victor's death. Your hand is near, Holmes. I will carry this box in my pocket, the last piece of evidence. Turn up the gas, Smith, said Holmes in his natural voice. Yes, I will, so that I can see you better. There was silence. Then I heard Smith say, what's all this? Successful acting, said Holmes, for 3 days. I didn't taste anything, neither food nor drink. So now here he says that it was Victor whom he killed with the same box which had picked him, and that picking made him die. And so Holmes also tells lie that he had opened the box. Actually he had not opened the box, and he had said that he had opened the box and it was inside some pin like, and it had been just prick him, and with the pricking some infection had got, and because of that he was sick, and that box he had taken from the place. This is how Victor had died. The same way Holmes was investigating the case of Victor, so he doesn't want to give a chance for him, so he planned to kill him also with the box, just sending as post. When he opened the box, immediately it will just pick him, and because of picking it, he will be just infected. He'll be just injected that thing, poison, and he'll be just becoming sick, fever, and at 4th day he'll be dying. So that was the 4th day of him. So as he is going to die, he want to reveal the truth and take the box, but actually he had not opened the box. He had used a lie that he had opened the box to Smith. So this is how he had investigated, and he told Smith, Watson to hide. Now he is calling him to bring, yes, turn up the gas, Smith, said Holmes in his natural voice. Yes, I will, so that I can see you better. There was silence. Then I heard Smith say, "What all this?" "Successful acting," said Holmes. "For 3 days I did not taste anything, neither food nor drink." So here I have not tasted anything, the food or water for 3 days. So I pretended like sick, so that you all believe, and you will be bringing him, and he also will believe that I am dying stage, so that he will be coming to take the witness which is there. So he will be just caught. So I planned that, trapped him, and I just made him to come here. So that was the investigation he had made. And there were footsteps outside, the door opened, and I heard Inspector Morton's voice. "I harassed you on charge of murder," he said. So now the inspector also, when they opened the thing, Martin, the inspector, was outside in a casual dress, not in a uniform. So now he comes and he just arrest him. So I harassed you on charge of murder," he said, and he was just taken to Cavalton Smith was taken and as a prisoner because he had murdered Victor, and this case was investigating by Holmes. So he planned to kill Holmes also, but with his intelligence, he had escaped from it, and he trapped him to fall in the trick. And for 3 days he was fasting without taking food and water, and acting and pretending like sick to others. So it is very clear, children, you understood. And the author is Joseph Bell. He was the author, and you can see that he is author Joseph Bell. He had written this book. 1837 to 1911, he was a lecturer in medicine whose detective approach to diagnose inside. He was medicine, he is a lecturer in medicine, so he had used that medicine and other things to the novel, to the detective novel. So in a detective approach to diagnose inspired Arthur Conan Doyle's character Sherlock Holmes. The wider picture in Scotland at the time is set out in our historical timeline. Joseph Bell was born in Edinburgh. So Joseph Bell was a lecturer in medicine, so he had used that in a detective novels, and Sherlock Holmes was one of the best thing, and you enjoyed the lesson, I hope. And we'll meet you in the next class, children. To receive our online lessons, please press the subscribe button and you will receive the latest updates. Thank you, children. We'll meet you in the next class.